But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't have a choice. But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected. It's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. And so,
Can you appreciate the balls it takes to talk like this? The absolute bald-face audacity that it takes. Who the hell is Bill Gates to talk about what it's going to take for the world to open up? He's literally like the villain from, I think it's that movie. It is that movie, the Minions movie, Despicable Me. I'm going to go pull that clip up afterwards just to see if my memory, my correlation is accurate. He reminds me of the villain from Despicable Me 1. The audacity. Now he said, you don't have the choice, but listen to why you don't have the choice.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice.
People act like you have a choice. Why does Bill Gates say you don't have a choice as to what you put in the veins of your body? Because other people don't feel like going to a stadium and risking getting sick.
People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected.
You don't have a choice because other people don't feel like doing something. That is basically Bill Gates saying, you don't have a choice because I want you to do something with you. So you don't have the choice. He's wearing black. He's flailing, and I say he's flailing his arms in full self-reflection. He's flailing his arms like a maniacal demon or a diabolical maniac. I should say diabolical maniac.
It's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And
so
old people,
I'm going to tell you what to do with your body.
Grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore.
You don't get to say, or you don't get to ignore. I tell you what to do.
What's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries.
Look at that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She is thinking to herself, oh my, I think she's thinking, oh my God, you're actually as evil as everyone on the internet says you are.
Is to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. And so
the entire global population. And it's a verse from the Bible. I'm paraphrasing it. What good is all the money in the world when you cannot walk among your brethren? It's good. I'm sure he'll enjoy the rest of his life. He'll eat at fancy restaurants. He'll go to fine, I don't know, what do they call them? Conferences in Davos. He'll have a nice office with many leather-bound books and a fine cigar. But he will never be able to walk among the people ever again. And I hope all of the money in the world can replace that loss. Oh, my goodness. Gates is evil. He knows everything he says is BS. This is an older video, so, it's not at the time. I'm sure he thought the whole world's got to get vaccinated, even though it doesn't. We never tested for transmission. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish reading that at this point, but he is pushing it anyways. Truly like diabolical, like villain, stereotypical villain from a movie. You don't get to do what if I'm scared of getting sick, you've got to put something in the veins of your body. Here's the flip side, Bill, the way it actually should be. If you're afraid of getting sick, stay home. And not in the sense of like, if you know you're carrying Ebola, you should be able to run around and cough all over the legumes at a grocery store. If you know you're sick, I mean, we can establish laws which probably already exist. If you know you're carrying a communicable disease, and I'll say set aside COVID. If you got Ebola and you know it, and you break out of quarantine from a hospital, we already have laws to deal with that. If you're afraid of getting a coronavirus, which is a type of virus that has existed long before, will exist long after. If you're afraid of getting the flu, getting the Rona, you stay home and you let people who not love freedom, but people who are people be people, because that's what it means to live in a civil society. It's a society. It doesn't mean I get compelled to inject something in my veins because of your fear of a virus that will 99 point whatever percent be survived. We live in a society. If you have irrational fears, you stay home. You inconvenience yourself, and you do not get to tell me what I have to put in my body. Now, I'm seeing a lot of super chats, which is going to be and I have to make sure we are live on the Rumbles. I'm going to tell you something. Like there's people who are heartbroken, and they're not quite doing the triggered scream in the streets, like, no, the Republicans only picked up, I don't know, what is it, 7 or 9? I forget exactly how they calculated. They only picked up so many seats. They didn't crush, and people are sobbing. To the extent that there was no chicanery this time around, and setting aside Arizona and maybe Pennsylvania, we'll get to that. If there's no chicanery, it's good to know the will of the people. It's good to know that people would rather be abused by a negligent, and some might even say murderous tyrant in Whitmer, someone who's responsible for the excess deaths of tens of thousands of people. If people make it known they would rather be governed by a Whitmer than vote for a Republican, some will say, good, you get what you vote for. The problem is other people get what you vote for as well. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But before then, if Bill Gates did not have a financial investment in pharmaceuticals, would he be lecturing the population about the need for vaccines? I don't know how much. I mean, he's got all the money in the world. Not all of it. I think Elon Musk has got more. He's got. What good is it? He will forever be detested by the world, and I think he's probably even detested within that elitist community. But okay, we're going to get to the election stuff after we go live exclusive on Rumble, and not for any other reason than I want to have that discussion there, and I want to do some updates and some interesting other stories before we go there. And you notice it said sponsored video. I'm not pitching the product today. Field of Greens, I'm going to have, the doctor is coming on for a short Q&A, and then after the doctor's on, we're going to cut it and go to Rumble. But before we get there, Super Chats. YouTube takes 30% to Super Chats. If you don't like that, you can choose to support the channel through Rumble Rants on Rumble. Rumble takes 20%. So better for the creator, better for supporting a platform that is good. And the best place and the best way to support, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. $7 a month, $70 a year, tons of exclusive content, great community. Or you could just go and become a non-supporting member, and we're up to like over 100,000 in our locals community, Viva Barnes Law. Alberta denies unvaxxed organ transplants. We covered, there was a story about that a while back. I'm not sure if that's news or new news. Once you realize the wealth, influence, and infiltration of the WEF, Gates Foundation, and the CCP, the more you'll realize they are evil megalomaniacs. I have no doubt believing that. And we got Konimari says, help me understand the cheating exists. I think you mean in Scrabble, because we are still not, I mean, even though you had people warning that Republican extremists were literally planning to steal the next election. Cheating doesn't exist, and if you suggest it does, you're a blasphemous dog who should be canceled from social media. But you are a cat, Konimari. You're a blasphemous cat. Konimari, thank you very much for the super chat. It is generous and magnificent. Okay, but on the subject of Bill Gates being evil, the commission the Emergencies Act Inquiry Commission that's going, the public official emergency commission, I forget what it is, that's going on in Canada. Just some updates and, just things that we're seeing every day. So the brief update is we've gone into a chapter of this 6-week commission that is dealing with the Windsor Ambassador Bridge blockade. Some of you, remind me, I'm going to end the video with this, may remember, that's where you met my brother. Windsor is like 2 hours, never each other, west of Toronto, which is Toronto is like 7 hours, never each west of Montreal. And people are like, Viva, you go to Ottawa to document the protest, go to Windsor. That's 9 hours away from where I live. So I said to my brother, Dan, why don't you go down, document, see what's going on in real time? And he did, and had a very interesting experience, which we'll get to. So they are now in this commission at the Windsor Coutts blockade in Alberta. I'll get to an article in a second, but I'm going to just show the now warning. This is somewhat disturbing, and also warning to deal with the disturbing. The individual, I have got confirmation from the commission, from people within the commission, is awake and was with EMS. But you just have the lawyer for the commission collapsing.
Commercial CMV, that's commercial vehicles?
Yes.
I mean, collapsing. I mean, this is horrifying, upsetting. Literally, this is at the commission. Nobody knows the cause yet. Nobody knows anything. And the lawyer, he was apparently the new lawyer for the commission, is awake. I don't know if he's fine. Nobody knows what happened. He's with EMS. He's awake. Who collapsed? And nobody should take any Schadenfreude out of this at all. Period. Who collapsed? It was one of the lawyers for the commission. In this entire inquiry, you have the commission, which is the investigative body. They are representing the truth. So they just want to know the facts. The commission, that's the one conducting this commission under the law, the Emergencies Act. You have the government of Canada that's represented. They're partisan. They want to justify their actions. They want to show that they had no choice but to invoke the Emergencies Act. You have the Ottawa citizens, or the coalition representing the Ottawa citizens. They're going to be partisan biased. They want to show that they endured hardships that required the EA, et cetera, et cetera. You got the convoy. They want to show that it was nowhere near justified to invoke the EA, the Emergencies Act. And then you got some other parties. You got Alberta, the provinces. You got the OPP, the Ottawa Police, the Ontario Provincial Police. You got OPS, the Ottawa Police Service. So there's every party is being represented in this adversarial inquiry, and that lawyer represents the commission. I hadn't seen him before, and he just collapsed. Maybe he fainted. Maybe he was just nervous, pressure of the situation. It happens. But this has been happening a lot lately. And someone had tweeted out, why aren't we allowed to ask if this individual was double jibby-jabbed? What's wrong with that? They've been asking that of us to go to sit down in a food court. We're allowed asking it when these things happen. And I retweeted that, saying this is a damn compelling point. And then I wanted to delete the tweet and then provide a revised response with a little more detail. And then I couldn't find the original tweet. But it's people say, how dare you ask if someone's vaccinated when they collapse, when they have a heart attack, when they die playing tennis? How dare you ask if they're vaccinated? You dummies! You asked if we were vaccinated to sit down in a food court, to enter a Canadian Tire. It's not only, by the way, fair in this ideological war. It's immoral not to ask the question anymore. It's immoral to sit here and say, oh yeah, 18-year-olds dropping dead of heart attacks, having massive cardiac arrest. Don't ask if they were jibby-jabbed. It's rude. It's not a question, by the way, of scoring political currency. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking. It's not a question of scoring political points. At this point, we need to understand what's going on, and you don't get to cop out of it like that Scotland study saying, oh yeah, we're looking into the massive spike in neonatal deaths, but we've excluded we've excluded the jibby jab. We've excluded. We don't know what's causing the spike in neonatal deaths in Scotland, but we can't ask, and we don't want to know if it's something else. It's becoming immoral not to ask the question, and it's becoming unprofessional and negligent for the experts, the medical community, to not start taking a step back and saying, what the hell is going on? Yet the government continues to require the jab. Now, we don't know what happened with this lawyer. He might just have succumbed to the pressure of the moment, fainted. The fact that he was moaning on the ground is a good indication, he didn't die. Might have just fainted, got nervous. A big moment being watched by thousands and thousands of people. Or, we've been seeing a damn lot of this. A damn lot. Damn lot. And then the latest from on the substance of the inquiry. Listen to this. Watch again.
Now, sir, this is a document from...
This is Brendan Miller representing the convoy, doing an amazing job.
The Canadian Security Intelligence Service summarizing what it is they discussed with Cabinet regarding threats to national security. And if we could just scroll down to page 5, please.
Could have made this one a little shorter for time, but...
Okay, so I just want you to see that. So on that document there, on February 3rd, CSIS assessed there is no indicators that known IMVEs, and I take it you know what that is.
Ideologically motivated violent extremists.
To engage in violence. And then if you scroll down to the other bullet points, it states on February 13th, CSIS advised that the implementation of the EA would likely galvanize the anti-government narrative within the convoy and further radicalize of some towards violence, referring to the increase in violent rhetoric following the declaration of the state of emergency in the province of Ontario. Furthermore, CSIS advised thank you. Furthermore, CSIS advised that the invocation of the EA by the federal government would likely lead to the dispersing of the convoy within Ottawa, but would likely increase the number of Canadians who hold extreme anti-government views and push some towards the belief that violence is the only solution to what they perceived as a broken system and government. Following the invocation of the EA, CSIS briefed Cabinet and reiterated the potential for the EA to increase anti-government views and violent ideologies, including those not yet radicalized.
Highlight that.
Can you agree with me that you would never want to
Brandon.
Do anything that could create further radicalization of extremists within the city of Windsor? Is that fair?
I'm going to object to this question.
Watch him.
On this document.
Withdrawn.
And object to this document and give it to the mayor.
Withdrawn. I'm done. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Now, does everyone understand what just happened there? Withdrawn. I'm done. Bear in mind, this is not a courtroom, so it's like I don't know I think all of these documents are already in evidence anyhow. And the commissioner, the Judge Rouleau, who is doing the most amazing job you can imagine, is going to consider all the evidence anyhow. And like argumentation will not sway the judge or the commissioner one way or the other. Does everyone appreciate what just happened? He's got the guy from CSIS or from the government there saying, you knew from your own intelligence by invoking the Emergencies Act, you were going to radicalize people and instigate, incite, needle, provoke them into potential violence. You knew it. Your own internal intelligence said that. We're going to get to another story in a second as to why this is a double jab, pun intended. They knew by invoking the Emergencies Act, people would think it's unnecessary, it's government overreach, and it would provoke radicalization and potentially, by their own estimations, provoke a violent response from the crowd, which hitherto had not been violent. And Brandon says to him, no, you wouldn't want to provoke people into violence, would you? It's an argumentative question. Meets an objection. It's like, I don't care. I'm done. I've made my point. The government knew when they were invoking the Emergencies Act, they knew based on their own intelligence. Did I just lose it? They knew by their own intelligence that by doing what they were about to do, which they also knew was totally unnecessary, and I'll get to that point in a second. They knew that by doing what they were about to do, they would likely, by their own estimations and by their own intelligence, provoke the very thing that they were attempting purportedly to stop: violence. I'm going to read it because tweets take me longer to draft than a statement. The disgrace of a human Justin Trudeau wanted nothing more than violence from the Ottawa protesters. I said it from the beginning. He wanted January 6th. He never got January 6th. And what we're learning now, he thought in invoking the Emergencies Act, he could provoke a January 6th. That's exactly what he did. I have no doubt he was praying for it at night. A little imputation of intention. I know it's loser think, but I can do it knowing that I do it because I'm doing it for style and persuasion, to quote Scott Adams. I have no doubt he was praying for it at night. The protesters are infinitely better people than Justin. They had the courage and the discipline to not give him what he wanted. He knew. I'm not saying he knew like, you know that you're wrong. He knew because his own intelligence reports were saying, if we do this, we might provoke more anti-government response. We might provoke violent extremism, violence from this crowd. We're going to further radicalize, or I dare say just potentially radicalize people into thinking that the government is up to no good. And they did it nonetheless. And they did it nonetheless, not only knowing that all of this would happen, but knowing, as Justin Trudeau, we now know, confirmed through this hearing, knowing that Justin Trudeau, get all these ads out of the way, knew, Justin Trudeau, he didn't only say that the protesters were not very smart people. He knew it would likely or potentially provoke the violent response that they were allegedly purporting to want to suppress. He doesn't think the protesters are very smart people. And he knew that it was unnecessary. Where is it? Trudeau responded in a discussion with Ford and other leaders. Trudeau responded that the province should not need more legal tools to deal with the protests and pressed police to do their job. 5 days later, his government invoked the Emergencies Act. Trudeau knew it was unnecessary. He knew it was an overreach. And he also apparently knew or strongly suspected that by and through this overreach, he would likely radicalize or provoke people to violence, which would have retroactively justified the invocation of the Emergencies Act. It's coming to light, but not enough people are paying attention. Okay, now, everybody, we're going to get to some election stuff after we go exclusive to Rumble, but for now, I've got Dr. Mike on. Now, it said sponsored ad, sponsored video, or this stream contains a sponsor because it does, and it's Field of Greens. But I'm not pitching it today. You all have questions. I have questions. We're going to hear straight from the doctor of the company, Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, I'm bringing you in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Mike, I think you might be on mute.
I can't hear you for some reason. It's weird.
You can't hear me. Hold on. You might want to cancel it automatically. You can't hear me at all.
I'm assuming you can hear me.
But yeah, I can hear you. Put in earbuds, or just take them off. Can you hear me now? No, now you're on mute. This is the one time I haven't done a test. My audio's good. This is the one time we haven't done a test before going live to make sure the OBS echo chamber. No, hold on. Dr. Mike, click on the link and just do it off your phone. And now he seems to be frozen. No, he's not frozen. Here, hold on. I'll do this in the private chat here. No. Go to your phone. We'll do it from there.
We're good.
You could.
Yeah, I mucked it by. It just defaults to all these weird settings. I don't even know there was a Microsoft Teams microphone. I thought just one microphone that's sitting on my computer.
Well, you're a doctor, not a technician, so.
Hey, come on, man. What's going on here?
Now, this is the first time we've met in person. We had a phone call the other day, and look, I figured this is one of the better things. I love having sponsors, and I love my sponsors, but I think this is like the best way for a company to get known and for you to explain what it is that you do, what it is that you sell, and why it is that it's good.
Sure. So, I mean, I think there was some leaning into the background a little bit. So I'm a DO, and kind of started my entire medical career, looking into kind of how we help the whole body. And what ended up happening, transitioning, was we ended up working with a couple of supplement companies while I was a resident, and just really dug deep into some of these athletes that beat themselves up over and over and over again, and a lot of them are MMA fighters. And I was like, what can we do with these guys that we do, say, in the operating room, or what happens after surgery? And I was kind of like just putting all these pieces together, and then it really started pushing towards the athlete side. So kind of building supplements for the athlete and the active person. Then kind of as we transitioned to that into Brickhouse, what ended up happening was I was like, we got to start making stuff for everybody, right? Good, healthy supplements that everyone can take. And that's kind of where Field of Greens kind of came about. Was we were looking to just get something that the entire family could take, because I don't think everyone's looking at it like that. They're not looking at, hey, what can I take, and then what am I comfortable giving to my children, right? That can give it, that we can continually kind of enhance their nutrition. So that's kind of the kind of quick background of how I got into the industry and where we are now.
Okay. And now one of the questions I asked you was, the difference between supplements, extracts, and Field of Greens powdered greens. Like what are powdered greens, and what's the difference between supplements and extracts?
Yeah. Being a parent now, I think one of the first things that people do is they grab something off the shelf and they look at it, and then I think just they don't realize that when they look at it and it says supplement facts, they're kind of like, hey, look, I'm not comfortable, right? Because the first thing they think about is protein, and then by just kind of default, we kind of go down this kind of rabbit hole and like, this is not okay for my kids. But once it says it's our product, doesn't say supplement facts on it, right? It says nutrition facts, because it's actually desiccated fruits and vegetables. And that was the whole point, was for the family, the mom, the dad, the child to look at it and go, okay, hey, you know what? Like, I'm comfortable taking this. It's food. And that's the main reason why we put it out there, is for everyone to feel comfortable taking it. We put it together that way.
All right, and now the other question is like feeling comfortable taking it. Well, the difference between a food and and an extract or a supplement. Sure. I guess you can't really. You can OD on a food in theory, but it is not like it's not.
You've done that before?
No, I read the story about we talked about this, but the kid who drank too much Sunny D and actually turned a shade of orange because of the beta carotene, because they drank too much beta carotene. But my mother traumatized me to tell me. It is a true story, but it never happened to me. But no, so like, what is the difference, practically speaking?
Yeah, sure. So ours is where we get fruits and vegetables, we dry them, right, and then they're blended together. And then when you get it from an extract, depending on who's doing it, where it's coming from, there can be potentially alcohol used in it, hexene that's currently used in it, or water. And they take these fruits and vegetables and they kind of let it sit there, and then they let whatever chemical, or in some places are really good about it, right? I'm not trying to say that everyone that uses extracts is bad. They end up taking that and then they dry all of it. They let the chemical or whatever they're using to get the extract from that, they let that kind of evaporate, and they kind of grab whatever extract and materials that they want to use from that. So there's that portion of that I feel like that's a little bit different. It's kind of concentrated there. The way that they look at a lot of supplementation that looks at it from an extract point of view, they're looking at an ORAC value, which tells us something that's way far, that just kind of a older way to look at antioxidants and how much power it has. And for us, it was really, how do we get the natural fruit and vegetable, chop it down, dry it up, chop it up, and make it as good as and as natural and as close to the regular component as possible.
Okay, and that is one of the biggest questions people often ask, is they say raw fruits and vegetables better. Cooked vegetables, sometimes, I think, like I read spinach loses some nutritional value. Desiccated, I mean, do you know, like, roughly, is there a loss of nutritional value? Is there a certainty that there is nonetheless nutritional value that you get as though you were to eat an entire, I don't know, bag of spinach?
No, okay. So that question always comes up, right? So there is some, that I think the way that I would look at it is that eating the whole raw vegetable is probably the best way to go about doing it. Cooking it and drying it out and then mixing it with water is probably the next second step. Right, it's no different than cooking it. I mean, that's the way that I would look at it. It's hard to not lose nutritional content as you dry it out, right? There's some water, there's some fiber that gets broken down, there's some protein that gets broken down. So to say that it is exactly the same as that, I would say no. It'd be hard-fetched to do that, but there is a serving of fruits and vegetables in the product that we've created so that we can grab that nutritional value that we wanted.
Fantastic. And what is the daily serving that people are supposed to have these days? Is it 5 to 6?
Yeah, 5 to 6. It's a lot.
I see. I go the other way. Like, every now and again, I binge eat arugula, and I can tell you after a certain point, the arugula comes out the same way it went down. But before that, it sort of breaks apart. I made doctor. And where is people want to know where things are made? I always say it's made in America. Where is Field of Greens Brickhouse made?
So that there we whenever the seasonally wherever the fruits and vegetables are coming from. So the final product is developed out in the United States, right? But we try to grab whenever we try to make the formula, we're trying to grab as much fruits and vegetables from all over, and that's seasonal. So it's difficult to say exactly. The concentration of that comes from South America, comes from the United States, can come from Europe. So we source these vegetables, fruits and vegetables from everywhere.
Very cool. And it says USDA organic on the box. Explain what that means and what goes into getting that certification.
You know, and on the manufacturing side, you have to have, there's a lot of restrictions. There's a lot of small little details that go into it where you can't mix certain powders in a different facility. You have to make sure that the facility is organic. The raw fruits and vegetables are coming in organic, the way that people use pesticides. So there's a lot of extra steps that we've taken to make sure that the entire product is USD organic.
Fantastic. Now, I think I spelled desiccated wrong, but it's desiccated and not defecated. Not defecated until
you were thinking about your arugula. That was the problem.
No, you know what the problem is?
You were thinking about the pound of arugula you're eating. And
I have a bit of a lisp. Like I never knew I had a lisp until I started doing this. But I mean, I was told I had a lisp from before. But when I say desiccated on Siri dictated, it comes out as defecated. So, but yes, that means dried, pulverized. It's like beef jerky of vegetables, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Let me see if in the chat, Dr. Mike, before we go, let's just see if anybody has any questions. But so that's it. I mean, it's good. And you say 1 to 2 spoons a day. Each spoonful is one serving
of fruits. Yep.
It's fantastic. And it does. I tell you, people, I always say, Dr. Mike, it looks like swamp water in the sense that it's like thick green, but that's a good thing. Yeah. Like people don't understand the nutrients, but it doesn't. It tastes good. It's like you would not know what you're drinking.
I like the taste of it. I love it. And if you don't like the regular raw version of it, I mean, there's 2 other flavors that we've got, right? We've got the mixed berry, we've got the lemon lime, we've got a couple other flavors that are coming out, just so that different flavor palettes for different people, right?
Yeah, I think I've got at least 2 flavors, and the original green is delicious to me. The other one I think it's a pink container, is delicious as well. All right, amazing, Dr. Mike. Thank you very much. I think this has been the most interactive sponsored video ever, but people had the questions. Did I forget anything?
I want to see you eat a bag of arugula on top of pizza. That's a mixed challenge. The pizza arugula challenge.
Oh, but it's even one step grosser. I eat it out of the container, like the pre-washed. I put salt and pepper on it, and I just binge eat compulsively. It's
amazing.
But
all for good health, right? You got to do it.
I don't know. I've been told you could eat a little too much arugula, but for those who don't want to eat arugula out of the container, Field of Greens. And Mike, thank you very much for sponsoring me. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Talk to you later. All right, bye.
See you soon. That I like that. It's like I got the questions that were in the chat. It's nice house, Dr. Mike. It was for a second. He was using a green screen backdrop. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm sweating again. Look what I did. Damn it, I forgot to wear this. I think I've been wearing this since last night. Since last night, election night. Oh. Let's talk about the election. Hold on. Did I get everything about Trudeau? Oh, you know what? We'll get some fake news on the flip side, on the Rumbles. Does everyone have the link to Rumble? Embed. Let me get the embedded link. I'm going to put it here in the chat. We're going to move over to Rumble now. And then the link. Oh, hold on a second. What did the carnivore? Carnivore people forget about all this other stuff. You see, like, I'm a very, very simple person. I like the red steak, the green arugula or cucumber, and the beige potatoes. But if all I can have is steak and vegetables, I'm good. But I've been drinking the Field of Greens because it's a damn better habit than my prior habit of Red Bull. Grobert was right. Damn him. Okay, let's move over to Rumble. I'm going to link it. Here it is one more time, people. I like Dr. Mike. I hadn't met him. I hadn't seen him in person. We just had a call the other day, and I think I know that when I say desiccated, it sounds like defecated, but I like my joke. It's desiccated, not defecated, until it's defecated. Okay, move over to Rumble, people. Let's do this. 1,745 people should be joining over there. 3, 2, 1. Wait a minute. I didn't do it yet. Did I do it? A remove. There we go.